So hello, good morning and good afternoon. We're going to go through the assignment brief today for the third unit, which is the Human Resource Management unit. So this is assignment number 1 of 2 assignments. We're going to go through the next assignment discussion tomorrow in tomorrow's session, basically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read a bit through this and also explain and give you examples so you're more clear on how to approach your assignment and what all sections of it you need to complete. Throughout this session, whenever you have any doubt or you're not able to understand something that I'm going through, or if I'm going through quick, please stop me and ask me immediately. I'm happy for you to stop me in the middle and ask your doubts immediately. All right, so the assignment title is the role of HRM and the organization development. As an introduction, basically, it's saying that how people are so critical for an organization's development. Throughout this entire unit on all the learning outcomes, we went through 3 different learning outcomes throughout this unit. So I'm just going to explain or revise what we spoke about. So it's going to refresh your minds. We spoke about strategic HRM and how it's also called people strategy. So basically, what was strategic HRM? We spoke about how we create like a framework for employees to be hired, for employees to be managed, and for an overall development of the organization and also to support the organization's long-term goals, right? I gave an example of a business unit called like the cafe, basically how it was selling stuff and how the sales are going to go higher during the winters. We spoke about how the HR strategies are so critical for the organization's development and implementation is so critical. During the learning outcome 2, we spoke about the theoretical perspectives of human resource management. So basically, how HR in an organization is in alignment with the organization's strategic objectives. And how it approaches the different goals of the organizations and takes it forward. There were different keywords that we spoke about, and I'm mentioning these keywords because it's going to be important when you're approaching your assignment. We spoke about the resource-based view, so how we first use the resources that are in the organization and gain a competitive advantage from it. Then we spoke about the human capital theory, wherein how employees are considered as assets or costs. So if an employee, if she's doing better, he's doing better, it's an asset. If they're not doing that well, it's going to be a cost for the organization, obviously. We spoke about the contingency theory. So how you need to have a plan in place for unforeseeable things that happen in the future. Spoke about the stakeholder and institutional theory, and how strategic fit and flexibility is important in the organization, and the behavioral perspective of basically how people behave and how through interactions we can understand in an environment how a person reacts to a specific situation. And then learning outcome number 3, we spoke about how we need to treat employees fairly, and we mentioned diversity, inclusion, work environment, various values and ethics. So coming to the assignment and why I mentioned all of this, because all of the learning outcomes that we went through and every bit that I mentioned in brief, that it needs to be applied into an assignment now. So again, coming to the introduction, it says how human resource management or HRM, it gives the organization a specific, a framework to follow, and also focuses on people management activities. So what is HR? We are essentially just focusing on how to upgrade, how to get our employees to do better, how to push them to, eventually help in the organization's long-term goals. So this unit obviously helps you to, if you want to be an HR assistant, HR advisor, HR business partner. So an HR advisor or HR advisor would be an HR person basically advising the entire business on the best practices to follow. So there are, best practices, and there are practices that businesses make for themselves. So for say, as a best practice, it's always good to support your associates who are going through sick leave or if they're going through some sickness. But as a practice of a business, sometimes what businesses do is we have a toxic environment or a toxic culture wherein even if you're sick, you need to come in. Even if you're having a fever, you need to come in and push through and work because there's a lot of workload. So that's the difference between a best practice, whereas practices businesses adapt to. So an HR advisor is going to advise the business on the best things to do, whereas an HR business partner would be someone who is going to so inside the business, there are different departments, right? So there is marketing, there is sales. So there are business partners assigned to each business. So for example, you're assigned to the marketing department. I'm assigned to the IT department. So as an HR BP or an HR business partner, what your essential role is to advise the marketing department that, all right, this is how you need to take care of your associates. This is what's, the managers would come and be like, this associate is sick, this associate has this issue. So as an HR BP, you are individually helping that specific department only. And that's your niche, essentially. So what's going to happen here? You're going to explore with the different scopes of HRM and how, it helps in recruitment, training and development, and employee relations. We're going to go through the employee relations unit as well. So that's the approach that you're understanding, and how you can apply these principles really properly. So everything that we went through in the learning outcomes, it needs to be applied into a business model or a business unit. So what strategies come into place, what policies need to be put into place for this specific business to function properly, because every business has its own way of functioning, right? Maybe one policy which says, disciplinary policy might work in a tech company, but a disciplinary policy might not work that well in a marketing company, because a marketing company is more relaxed. People have their own option to make their own decisions, whereas a tech company needs to have this specified set of rules for everything to work or function in a specified manner. So yeah, you're going to gain a lot of knowledge and understand about talent planning, recruitment, learning and development, and employee engagement, and how to come up with new ideas for employee engagement. Say, I was working in an organization, and over there was this points that they used to give. It was called living proof points. Essentially, what essentially happened was, if I did a good job or if I delivered a good presentation and my manager was happy with that presentation, she would essentially give me living proof points. So that motivated me to do better because that was outside my paycheck. What those points did was, there was a website, basically have a catalog of literally every voucher available, literally every company's voucher available, Amazon, Shein, anything, you mention it, and that voucher was available over there. And it also had products over there for me to buy on a subsidized rate. So basically, it got me to do better and put in more work, because I knew if I did a good job, I'm not just getting my salary or getting paid well, but I'm also getting this additional points or bonus, which made me feel really good. Because we had a website that it went on, and it said that this person gave you these many points, so she got these many points, for example. And it was a big deal that, that's, you've been recognized by getting points. So these are innovative ways that companies think of to motivate their employees or keep them engaged, keep them engrossed in their work, and push them to do better in the organization, basically. There is another organization which gives out these, even in McDonald's, for example. If you go into McDonald's and you see the back end part, every McDonald's has this beautiful little sticker stuck up on their wall that says Employee of the Month. So that are ways that companies come up with, basically, to engage their associates. So when you're approaching your assignment, you need to think of new different ways on how to make different changes and how to keep everything in mind, not just employee engagement, but also recruitment, talent management, and learning and development. So I'm going to read through some general information now, which is important for assignment. And then we're going to, as I'm scrolling down, I'm going to walk through the entire assignment and how to approach it. I'll also mention some websites and resources that might actually help you to approach this better, essentially. So since we have already delivered all of the and gone through all of the learning outcomes, that was the general information part. All of the information is available on Moodle. So you know where to find all of the recorded lectures, and also you know where to find, just give me a second. No problem about that, Nandesh. That's absolutely all right. So yeah, general information and handouts. There's a lot of ebooks that are available on Moodle. I'm mentioning all of this because when you're going to approach your assignment, you're going to need a lot of material and a lot of data. So everything might not just be used through websites or, cited through websites, because you also need to Harvard reference it. Are you guys aware with what Harvard referencing is?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I will still run through with what it exactly means and how you need to approach it. I also have a website for Harvard referencing, which was really useful, actually, I feel, because sometimes you just don't understand the way how to write it, or, the date and the year, where does it come? So that website actually helps. I will mention it. So make a note down of that. That's a good website, actually. All right, coming back. So general information, you have all of the resources on Moodle. If you feel that you need, a specific book on HR, and that's the book that you need to cite a lot of information from or take your matter from, just mail the university, mail us. And what we can do is we have a library of books, ebooks, basically, so we can upload it on Moodle for you to access. There are a few ebooks already available on Moodle, but those are the books that we think might be the best. That's why. So just if you feel like you need a specific book, just literally send an email and that should be helpful. All right, so submission format. So you need to submit this assignment into a presentation and also make a visual roadmap. So what is a visual roadmap, essentially? So a visual roadmap is something that I would say is a step-by-step guide for the businesses to follow things in, like, you have every step, like the strategic business plans are there in the visual roadmap. They know what to prioritize and what is least important, and it's like an entire guide basically for the recruiters and the HR department, so that they can come up with new and better hiring plans and hiring strategies. So it's, a visual roadmap can be for a month, it can be for 6 months, or it can be for a year. If it's for a year, it would essentially be broken down into quarter 1, quarter 2, like just quarter wise, 4 quarters in the year, right? And inside each quarter, they're going to say that in these 3 months, what's going to happen, how we need to approach it, and, what kind of hiring strategies we need to develop. So as a rule, usually quarter 4 is the quarter in which hiring takes place the most. The reason for it is actually really funny, because at the end of the year, the HR departments wants to use their, they have a specific set of money allocated for hiring, right? So they want to get done with that money that's there and hire all more talent. So that happens at the end of the year, because maybe that's when they realize, all right, we have this much money, let's actually utilize it and hire better, staff or better employees. Whereas hiring in the mid-year, say August, July, is usually on the low. Even during summer, like May, June, July, August is lower than usual. So that's how they come up with this plan. So they have a roadmap in the beginning of the year, looking like, all right, this month we have more sales, we might require more staff. How do you plan from before? How do you come up with strategic plans from beforehand? You start hiring people from before. You start, compensating your associates better, so that they know that when the workload is more, they were already compensated really well for it. So they're not going to ask you, or not going to complain that why is this happening, or there's not going to be greater turnover, because you did compensate them well. So they were aware that this might be coming up. So yeah, you need to make a 15-minute presentation and allocate 5 minutes for questions. So you need to submit the presentation slides and also the speaker notes. So under the PowerPoint, you have a speaker notes section. That's where you make your notes, basically what you're going to speak about during that slide. And use PowerPoint well. Use the headings, bullets. You have so many functions under PowerPoint which will help you even create that visual roadmap. You have an option wherein you come up with these charts, so you can directly choose a chart and make this roadmap. If you want to make it yearly, so you have a chart with 4-quarter options, and do that. Play around with it and get innovative, basically. Again, all work is supported by Harvard referencing, and you basically need to reference it correctly. Why is that important for you to use referencing correctly? Is because we at UK Versity use a plagiarism software. It's called Turnitin. Do you know what plagiarism is, guys?
Using work without appropriate citations.
Yeah, one part of that is correct for plagiarism. Plagiarism also means that you need to do your own work. So you're not copying someone's work. For example, if I go on Google and I type, what's the definition of HR? Yeah, I get an entire definition there. If you copy paste that definition and put it in, and without giving proper referencing, most likely it's going to come up on the Turnitin software as plagiarized. Why? Because the software would detect that these are the exact words that was used on this specific website, and they did not give the credits to that website. Essentially, in layman language, I would say credits. So what you have to do is if you take the definition, for example, okay, just giving an example, you can put in definitions in Harvard referencing. That's absolutely fine to put definitions word by word, but paragraphs, for say, if you take an entire paragraph, that you can't put word by word. So coming back, say if you have a definition, all right, you modify it in your language. So if the definition says that human resource or strategic human resource management is creating a frameworks for employees to be hired, managed, and developed to support long-term business goals, that's an entire definition taken from the internet. Yeah. How would you explain it in your language? So, or basically paraphrase it. So you're using that information, but you're putting it into a language that is understandable for you. So if I explain strategic human resource management as how I understood it, or paraphrase it, paraphrasing is essentially, there's a software also available on the internet for paraphrasing, but I would encourage you to paraphrase it yourself into your language. I would say that how we can put in, new strategies so that associates are pushed to do better, associates are managed better, and there is less turnover in the organization, so that eventually the organization grows. I modified what the meaning of the presentation was into simpler language, so that how I would understand it in my head. So that essentially is paraphrasing. So if you take a paragraph from a book, and you have Howard reference it, you're like, I got this paragraph from the book. You can't use, even though you have a referencing it, if you use it word by word, it's going to come up most likely on the plagiarism software. So you would have to make changes to that paragraph or paraphrase it essentially into your language, or how you would explain it, or into using different words to explain it essentially, for it to not get picked up on the software. Again, the word limit is about 2,000 to 2,500 words. There is a 10% up and down, so you can go a little over or go a little under it, but that's absolutely fine. So Harvard referencing. So there's a specific way of referencing certain information that you're putting into your assignment. Why we would do that is essentially because you need to do proper research, and once you're researching, you come up across a book or an article or a specific piece of information, and you're like, all right, this is really useful, I can put this into my assignment. But putting it word by word would obviously not be what Harvard referencing is. That would be essentially plagiarism or copying, I would say. So what you need to do is you need to give credits to the author of the book, or you need to give credits to the website, or credits to the the article that you found, that where did you get it from, and also put in the date alongside that. So there's this website called MyBib. It essentially, MyBib, what it does is, if you have a link to an article and you put it on the MyBib website, it will paraphrase, it will reference the entire thing for you directly. So all you need to do is copy that referencing. Would you guys want me to show how it looks like?
You can show, but personally, I use the built-in function of Word to
Perfect. Exactly. At the next point,
cite
I was
it.
going to come up to that you can also use that function, because even that is quite accurate. It will give you the correct Harvard referencing system. So if
Yes.
you're already using Word, that's absolutely fine. You don't need to use this at all. But yeah, this was the website I was talking about that gives you correct referencing style. But Word also, essentially what it does, it lists down all of the links. So at the end, when you need to reference everything or need to put in your links, you can just click one button and everything comes up. That's what you do, Nandesh. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, perfect. That's absolutely all right. That's perfect. And that actually makes things easier for you, I feel, because you have a list on the side of all of the articles that you've referenced already. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
plus the every article and journal from my previous assignments as well.
yeah, that's really good, because if you want to go back or look at something, or
Yeah.
you feel that, okay, this can be useful, that's actually helpful. No, that's absolutely good. That's a good approach. So yeah, when you're referencing, just make sure you're using the correct referencing style. There's a way of referencing, so you need to put in the date as well. So make sure you're doing all of that and correctly doing that. If you have an article that a website that you come across that, doesn't have an author name, or, it's just a website that has information. It might be good information, but just doesn't have it. I would not encourage you to use that, because you might not be able to correctly reference that or correctly Harvard reference it, and that might be picked up. Obviously, you can take information and paraphrase it in your own words and make, like, don't use same words. So that would work out, but not just use Harvard referencing for that website then. Plagiarism, we spoke about what plagiarism is. Plagiarism is basically, you need to do your own work, you need to make sure that it's your original work, you're not copying anybody else's work. And if you are referring to someone or some book or a website, you properly reference it, Harvard referencing. So just make sure that it doesn't come up. We use a software called Turnitin. I think you guys are already aware about that. So there are few textbooks, and so I was talking about the textbooks, right? The ebooks, basically. So there are a few ebooks that are listed down here that can be useful for you, and there are different websites. You can also use the SHRM website. I feel that has really good information. The full form of it is Society for Human Resource Management. They have some really good definitions and information in terms of, um, strategic human resource management, and also about employee engagement and employee relations. So that can be useful. The CIPD website also has some really good definitions and information. So what the CIPD website does is, if there's a specific topic, say, employee relations, it explains what employee relations is. Then there's a drop down that explains how it's implemented, and then another drop down giving you examples or information about it. So I feel CIPD breaks down every keyword really well. So if you're looking for, recruitment or planning or different things, if you put the words over there, it'll directly come up on the CIPD website. So I feel that's helpful. There's also HR Zone that helps a lot. So yeah, apart from that, there are a few websites that are listed down over here as well. How to create a roadmap, because you have to create an entire roadmap. And these websites that are listed down here are, it's saying Nissan, because when I explain you what the assignment is, you'll understand why it says Nissan. So yeah, and different articles that you can use as well. You don't have to use these articles, but you can also find your own articles if you find on the internet. Have you guys heard of Google Scholar?
Yes.
Yeah, perfect. So if you search for some words of there on Google Scholar, what you're essentially looking at, HR management or strategic human resource management, it will give you articles related to that. So you can pick up articles from there and also reference them properly and use them in your assignment. So Google Scholar is also a good place wherein you can find many articles. These are just 2 articles that have been put here, but there are many more over there. All right. So the learning outcomes in the beginning of this call, I went through the learning outcomes quickly and what we basically learned about in the previous lectures. So going to explain what the scenario of the assignment is and what you have to do now and how you need to go through everything. So left half an hour for that, essentially. All right. So I'm going to read through this information because I don't want to make changes to it, but I'll also keep explaining you stuff and, what it essentially means. Keep asking me questions, guys, if you have any doubts or you don't understand or not clear with anything. So the organization is a global car manufacturer, Nissan automobile manufacturer. So it has both centralized and decentralized functions. So what is centralized functions? Centralized functions are basically, example, it would be like budgeting, goal setting, which is done, or decisions that have been taken by the leadership team. So these decisions are usually made in the long-term decisions for the next 5 to 10 years and are not changed frequently. Whereas decentralized functions are functions that people or decisions that organizations take as a team. So as a team, those functions are changed every time. So you might have decentralized functions for a shorter time period compared to centralized functions. So one of the decentralized functions is the HR function. Obviously, we spoke about how HR needs to keep adapting and changing to the organization goals, right? In each global location they are based, while production is the core of the organization, there are many other support functions that ensure the success of the business. So obviously, we have studied about this. Apart from what the company does, there are so many other functions that come into place for a business to grow and to get successful. So it requires committed employees to ensure that organization is successful and sustainable and that it achieves its business objectives through strong performance. So while you're looking at what Nissan does and, production is its core function, you need to look at it from a HR perspective, how human resources is going to help achieve the organization's objectives and how it can motivate associates to do better and, get a stronger performance out of them. So again, coming back to this, like other industries, automotive is looking at a global skills shortage, and in which engineers are not sufficiently qualified to operate sophisticated automobile machinery and equipment to support advancements available via emerging technologies. And these roles cover a number of disciplines, including design, production, programs, and quality, all of which require different levels of skill, experience, and expertise. So why is this paragraph been broken down? It essentially is telling you guys to focus on recruitment, essentially. So in recruitment, we understand that there is a shortage of engineers. There is a global shortage that's happening, okay? And how we can not just get better talent, but also upgrade our talent. So how we need to motivate our associates to do better, push them, come up with new, employee engagement programs, and how we can put in different learning and development strategies in place so that our existing associates can keep growing, because they need to cover so many aspects of it, right? As mentioned, design, production, programs. So there are different levels of skills needed for it. So if there's an engineer at level 1 skills, how you can push that engineer to do better so that it, that person or that, girl or boy, whoever, they can be pushed to getting into a level 2 skill genre. And after that, they can keep growing in the business. So internal growth is something that you need to focus on over here as well. So when you're approaching your, yeah, sorry.
Ma'am, regarding the assignment brief, is it for assignment 2? Is this HRM assignment 2?
This is assignment 1.
Okay. I think there is some issue with the assignments because on Moodle, the assignment 1 is of, let me see, it is of Tech Global.
On Moodle,
Yeah, on SHRM.
is it this one that you were seeing?
No, mine shows Unit 32 SHRM assignment 1.
Give me 1 second. Just gonna go through my emails again. Actually, Nandesh, thank you so much for bringing that up, because is it Techware Limited, Eco Foods and City Build Constructions? Is that the assignment you're talking about?
No, that is, I think, operations management, and there is another assignment. Yes, exactly that. Yes, the name is same for operations management as well, TechWare, and for SHRM, it is Tech Global.
Let me just go through it. Just give me a second for SHRM.
I'll drop the names in the chat as well.
Perfect. Thank you. No, thank you so much for that. Yeah, that indeed is actually correct, Nandesh. You are correct. So what I'm going to do is, what's the time right now? So it's been a while since I've taken this lecture. What I'm going to do is, in tomorrow's lecture, I will explain both these assignments properly then. I'm going to end this session quicker today and not go through this. So this is not the assignment that you need to approach. The assignment is different, but the information that I went up basically in terms of Harvard referencing, plagiarism, all of that is going to remain the same. So at least
Okay.
everything was not gone into this. Yes, that is correct. Tech Global and Techware. Yes, you are correct, actually. So what I'll do is I'm going to end this session quicker today. And in tomorrow's session, I will take it probably for 1 hour, 15 minutes or 1 hour, 20 minutes. And I will explain both assignments simultaneously in that lecture. Would that be all right?
Yes, definitely.
Perfect. No, thank you so much that you brought this up. That actually is helpful. What I'll also do is, when I share my screen, I'll try to share both assignments simultaneously and explain that tomorrow. Tomorrow, the lecture's at 3 p.m. UK time, actually. Are you guys aware of that?
Yes,
Yeah.
for me, it is evening,
Okay,
8
perfect.
p.m.
So all of the information that we went above is going to remain the same in terms of Harvard referencing and everything. So I'm not going to go through all of that again in tomorrow's session, unless you guys have any doubts. But in terms of explaining what the assignment is, how to approach it, I am going to go through both the assignments tomorrow together then. If that is too much information, you can keep asking me questions throughout the session. I can give you a break in the middle as well if you feel that that's a lot to take in together. Is that all right, guys?
Yes, for me, it is all right.
And thank you so much for bringing that up, Nandesh. I
No
checked
issues.
in my emails and I realized that this is not the assignment you need to do anymore.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen right here. So thank you so much again for attending today's session. I will see you tomorrow where we'll discuss both the assignments together in depth and detail, and you can ask me all of your questions then. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Have a nice afternoon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.